Alrighty.
Alrighty, it's 5 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, we'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So the first on the agenda is Dr. Chuck Lloyd and Melanie Robbins. So we'll let you. I wish we had more people here to hear that, but they can watch it on.
In person is awesome.
That's right.
Right. Come far enough away, can I take this off? Okay with that? This is, first of all, thanks for having us. Thanks for making time on the agenda. We just want to spend some time and talk a little bit about our expansion plans here in town. And more specifically, this is the first time I got to give this in person. So I've given this presentation a few times virtually, so thank you once again for having us. And any questions, feel free to chime in. And I don't know how much time I have, but I'll try to just go through somewhat quickly here and try to get to some questions for you.
Great. Thank you.
So first and foremost, White Mountains Community College, we are located about 1 mile from here. For those on the video, we're at the Opera House, so 646 Union Street, right up the road. We have a variety of different programs I want to go through, but the most important thing to talk about tonight is we are going to be purchasing. We have officially, I think it's closed, March 31st, we have closed on the building, and we're going to be doing some construction. So let me walk you through this a little bit. I'll call it the why Littleton. We love Littleton. I'll be going into that in a moment. Talk about our student success, our programming, the facility and facilities, I will say. The finances around it. I'm sure you talk finances quite a bit. Then our process and our timeline as well. So a couple of things, first of all, about the college. Some of our top programs include health science, liberal arts, nursing, business, and human services. Located right over here, we have our commercial driver training program. Veterinary assistant is over at our North Conway location. So we do have our 3 locations, Littleton, Berlin, and North Conway. We also have our top sending schools here, which you will recognize that Littleton is one of those. We also have our transfer agreements. A couple of things I do want to point out quickly is our graduation rate, 54%. That is the highest for community colleges in New England. It is number 20 out of 861 schools in the nation. That is, I also add 10% typically to that as a student success, as a side mark, because 10% more of our students do transfer on. That is a success for those students. And then retention, we are always in the tops as well as retention, 70%. We compete with 4-year schools at that level of keeping 70% of our students semester after semester. Our cost per credit is $215, lowest in the state, hence why so many people continue to come to us. Since 2012, we've only increased $5 in tuition. No one else can say that. Just a couple other things. We do not serve only the traditional 18-year-old student coming out of high school. We have a lot of, I call them post-traditional students, not non-traditional, so after 18. You see the age range here, 14 to 76. We have a lot of teenagers. Our dual and concurrent enrollment, Running Start Early College in the high school is very popular. That has increased quite a bit. Well, also, in our September commencement, we had a 76-year-old graduate, and she was unbelievable. Highlight of my year. She was taking her courses right here in Littleton. I handed her diploma out. I assume it was her grandchild on her son's shoulders. Nana, you did it. And it was the coolest thing ever. Highlight of the year. So just so you get to see a little bit about it. And about 90% or so of our students are from New Hampshire. Obviously Vermont's so close and Maine's so close to the other 2 locations. We do dip into that area quite a bit. So what are we looking to do and why Littleton, right? So we are looking to permanently cement our Littleton location. We've been here since 1995, 9, somewhere in there, been leasing for over 20 years. Guess what? We're going to stay. We've had the opportunity a couple times in the past to purchase this building. We've been looking around town. Some of you may know we've investigated the Hitchner facility a couple times, some other locations. It came back to we know what we know where we are. We know the facility, it fits. It's comfortable. We worked very closely with NCIC and LIDC, Littleton Industrial Development Corporation, just to purchase it on March 31st. And it's what we do best. We get into a facility and we deliver education. Where the Hitchner facility for us was just going to be too much of an undertaking, a little beyond the scope. So we've got something that fits, and we're going to spend some real time looking at the existing facility, doing some renovations and upgrades there as well. We also see cementing our footprint here, allowing us to access into Vermont some more. My understanding is Springfield College has closed the location most recently, and also we've had a lot of interest from Vermont students coming over this way because we have a 50-mile radius where anyone 50 miles from any of our locations, so from right here, go 50 miles into Vermont, they can pay New Hampshire tuition rates. So it's become pretty accessible. I don't have to tell you all the high schools in this area within a 20-30 mile radius. Obviously being right on 93, close to 91, 302, the access is here as well. And also workforce development, specifically in some of the trades programs, have significantly increased. I'm sure you've heard some of that at least. Here again are the existing programs, just so you have a snapshot of what we currently are offering. And some of our new programs. So I mentioned the trades. The primary reason to build a new facility is we want to move our diesel heavy equipment program from Berlin to Littleton. That program is the only one in New England. It is an accredited program and it's in Berlin. And you just heard me talk about 93, 91, 302, all the access to this facility. What we want to do is make it easier for people all over the state and frankly all over the region to get to this program. Right now, being in Berlin, it is difficult to get to, but also in Berlin, we are leasing a facility currently. We want to own the facility. This is a great program. It continues to grow. We want to have state-of-the-art equipment in it, so that is one of our primary reasons for moving it over here. We also are going to, I will say, duplicate, not just move industrial mechanics. We're going to have industrial mechanics here and probably balance that and rotate it a little bit. One of the exciting pieces is energy and electric technology. We just got a grant from Electrify America to do some EV, electric vehicles, energy technology, charging station technology, technicians as well. And welding is part of all of these programs. So rather than having students go back to Berlin to the welding lab, we're going to construct a small welding lab here as well. And all of this is in partnership with Al Smith over at the CTE Center as well to create pipelines. The why of diesel heavy equipment, this shows 93 and 91 where they come, but we have pockets of students who literally come up from southern New Hampshire, northern Mass all the time, and they'll live in a hotel in Berlin because it's a 2 to 3 hour drive for them, so we're trying to get closer to southern New Hampshire for some of those students as well. We have maps like this for Vermont and Maine as well that this becomes the center point. The other thing, the primary reason we want to spend, cement our footing here is this area specifically has the best opportunity to increase college going rates. You can see where else we are. So we are in COAS, which is about the state average, 60% go on, 60% of students are going on in southern Grafton and across New Hampshire. Northern Grafton, where we are now, we hover around 50% of our high school students are going on to college. We see having a permanent presence in the area, being able to tick that up and increase post-secondary matriculation. So that's something we want to do for the community and try to increase that. Current academic center, we've got roughly 11,000 square feet. We share it with Employment Security and Head Start, great partners of ours for obvious reasons around synergy. They have signed on to stay with us for a while. Ace Fitness is in a separate back building. We are in conversations with them, great people by the way, about if we got some funding to build a building, what that would look like for relocation for them. Here is the map, anyone that can see. So Employment Security is with us. This is the separate back building here. This is Ace Fitness. What I'm proposing as part of the college expansion is we would take this down and we would build a 10,000 square foot building right on that site. That 10,000 square foot building would be our diesel, our energy technology, our welding, our industrial mechanics, with state-of-the-art equipment in the facility as well. Again, the one we have is being leased. It is not up to AED standards, so we need to maintain our accreditation. And again, it's about accessibility. So it's quality, it's accessibility, and it's something that we're getting, requests and frankly demands from the Automobile Dealers Association, Caterpillar, Kubota, John Deere, all of the industry partners. So here's the proposed facility, roughly 10,000 square feet. These are the programs in it. Also, beyond that, we're looking to add some other function spaces. So there's a second floor proposed right now. Funding comes through. Because we don't have a large space to host people for open houses, orientations, meetings, and you know as well as I do, social distancing is much more important than we originally started designing this. So having some more space to do that. Here are just a rendering of the facility, actually put together from one of our student graduates from NHTI, from our engineering programs. We've got a few other renderings here you can see, but essentially a large, a lot of people think of a dealership with large bays, open, being able to have an alignment machine in there, tools, workbench, jib cranes, and a lot of hands-on accessories. So we are proposing to do this in phases, and I will say that stimulus money has sped up some of our phases. So we have purchased it, that was phase one. Phase two is to upgrade and renovate the HVAC system in there. And part of that also is we're looking at the building envelope for energy efficiency. Next phase is would be to take down the back building, which is that 4,000 square feet, and then we would start construction on the 10,000. The phases depend on the funding coming through. We do have some money in grants we are applying for as well. We have some institutional funds. We have a lot of stimulus money, and we have a $5 million request into the state of New Hampshire for capital, and we, at the moment, that is still a viable option. So we were lining up our phases with our finances, and just to touch on timeline real quick, and then I'll open for questions, is if we hear we get that $5 million in the next couple of months, we would be looking to do design phase this fall, put a shovel in the ground next spring, early spring, as early in spring as you can in northern New Hampshire, and then I'm told 8 to 10 months for construction, being able to get in there. So somewhat of an aggressive timeline, but there are there are a lot of things happening, and the dominoes are starting to really fall for us. So just excited to be permanently part of this community, and wanted to make sure everyone was well aware, and also open the communication line as this process continues, should folks have questions, and welcome you to reach out. But welcome any questions at this time.
How long have you been doing this as far as the community college been active? What year did you start?
So this is I've just completed next week 4 years as president. I've been in the community college system for about 20 years.
Right, but I mean the community college system, it's been how many years?
This community college system started in 1945. White Mountains Community College opened in 1966. Yeah. So we've been coming along.
And we've been in Littleton since 1995. We used to be on Cottage Street, which is now the greenhouse.
Yep.
So it used to be right there along the music, and we moved to that location in 2001.
The reason I was asking is I took your welding course 40 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow. We have an alum in the room. Any other alumni?
Yeah.
I have a question. I taught for a number of years with Granite State. It used to be College for Lifelong Learning, School for Lifelong Learning. And they've kind of are no longer here. Their presence is no longer here. So I guess my question is, I thought perhaps the community college system was atrophying and kind of disappearing slowly, but it's not. You're basically replacing what was a very viable, strong program here for a number of years. When I taught for them, I would teach here, I would teach in Berlin, and I would teach in North Conway. They would move the classes around, especially for juniors and seniors. The upper division courses, they would have them moved around a lot. So you're going to have it just right here in Littleton, the program.
The diesel program will only be here.
Only diesel program. The others will
We have a lot of programs you can take at any of the centers. For example, liberal arts, business, the nursing programs up in Berlin. We're going to have an LPN program here starting in January. And we do rotate a lot of programs as well. So really it depends. Like massage therapy is probably a good example. It was in Littleton. We moved it over to North Conway. If we don't get the demand there, the next year we may shift it somewhere else. So we've got that ability to move that around quite a bit.
Dr. Lord, you may want to share too about the Running Stock program, because that is such a valuable program for our high school juniors and seniors.
And it's seen significant increase. So Running Start means for $150, a high school junior or senior can take a course taught by their faculty, but it's our course. So we certify their faculty in the high school and they get college credits for that. We see students coming out of high school now with 30, 40 credits, halfway done their degree. There's also the early college option, which is rather than being in the high school, they're actually coming to the college campus or taking it online through us, and that's half price of tuition. So again, students, this has been a significant increase because students are home, they've got some more time on their hand, they've been taking online courses, and the industrial mechanics program over in Berlin has really had a ton of early college students in it as well. So high school students, it's a real confidence booster. I talk about the finance piece, but it's a confidence booster. Students saying, I can do college level work. So, and that to me is going to help that matriculation rate of going to college after, which is, the ultimate goal.
I had another question where you maybe can brag a little bit more about something that's really important here. Other than the $215 for credit, which is a retention issue for you, as you pointed to, is there anything else that clearly stands out that's creating the retention issue that you're speaking to?
Go ahead. Everyone, first of all, this is Melanie Robbins. I know you said it. She's the director of the academics.
I think that what makes White Mountains Community College different is that we understand that we live in a rural place and we are part of the community. And we have small classes and each individual makes a difference on whether they're going to succeed or not. And so you have faculty that stand up behind those students. So when he points out that retention rate, you can't beat it because we are part of the community. And these individuals who come to school with us stay in the community. You can't go to a health center in our community here and not be with one of our graduates who's going to take you into that doctor's office, or whether it's the nurse at the hospital. And so we care on each individual.
Well said. I mean, and it's customized, frankly. It's individualized. This is not done for masses of thousands and thousands. Each individual student is treated. If you don't mind me picking on you, Chief McKeon, we met a couple hours ago, and I said, if it made sense to ever come over and sit down one-on-one and see if you've got some, firefighters that have some credits from different colleges or whatnot, let's bring that together and see how we can get them to a degree. We can do that with businesses, with students as they walk through the door. There are a lot of these larger places that can't because of the mass of students, but we can take a one-on-one individualized approach, and that's what we're proud of.
Thank you.
Question from the audience?
You are?
I'm sorry?
You are?
President Chuck Lloyd, President of White Mountains Community College.
Yeah.
White Mountain Community College.
Yeah.
Do you know that the courses that I want to open it up in Littleton, they already exist in Littleton High School, after school? You know that?
Do I know the course that...
The courses that I want to take, mechanic, electrician, and stuff like that, they already exist to Littleton High School. It's courses after school, but they go downstairs, they are all set up. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Yeah, we work very closely with Al Smith over at the CT Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is one thing. The second thing is this. Do you know that we used to have community colleges that they moved to Littleton? The model they last, no need a year. They shut down. There was one in Main Street, there was one in Union Street, they shut down.
I think you're talking about Granite State College.
Yeah.
And they have
Yeah, well, it's community because, they don't, well, they have a managed, right?
Right, but the community college, the community college have been here for more than 20 years, and we do hard work.
I mean, if you guys know already that whatever you want to build, it already exists over here in Littleton. And another thing, why Littleton? Why don't you go to a town that maybe they need some, something to revive again. It's like, maybe, Lincoln, it's, any other town that they don't really, they need your support. They need, something to implement, make people move there, the students to go there and then spend some money, and why Littleton?
Well, first of all,
We've been here for a long time.
we love Littleton.
Yeah.
We love
Me
Littleton.
too, I love Littleton, that's why I moved from New York over here.
Oh, well,
What a mistake.
It's a great place. We, again, we've been here since the 90s. I do want to address the Granite State College piece because you asked, and in full transparency, I teach for Granite State College in their master's program. Granite State had a physical presence on Main Street, as you referenced, sir. Also, they were over in North Conway. At one time, we shared both a location here and in North Conway with them. Their business model has really just changed. They've gone a lot more hybrid and online and really shrunk their footprint. We are actually doing the opposite. We're increasing our footprint. The community college system of New Hampshire, we have 7 colleges and 12 locations. Our mission is to stay within 25 or 30 miles access for any New Hampshire resident. So physical presence is really important to us, and we're continuing to increase that. And yeah, highlighting the partnership with the high schools, that's what it's all about. We do a lot of that. So I appreciate the questions. Thank you.
That's the reason they gotta shut down the program that they have at Littleton High School if you guys open it up, right?
Yeah, it's really a partnership.
Because that one is for free. You say every day, even under $50 for some kid, some family,
Done closely, very synergistically, and it's a partnership, so it's a step 1, step 2 type of thing. Yep, thanks.
Who's going to give you the money, to start this program?
So we've done, we're actually going to do some fundraising. We're applying for some grants, and we've done a capital request to the state of New Hampshire, which probably would likely end up being federal grants as well.
No taxes from the citizens of Littleton.
No taxes from you. That's probably the best message here. We're not here to ask for any money from you.
Go on. Go on.
But the benefit from it too is producing college graduates that really want to stay in the area, not just Littleton, but the region, and that's rich.
Yeah, across the system, 93% of our students come from New Hampshire. 95% of those stay and work in New Hampshire. So we're producing employees for businesses. That's what we're trying to do.
And one of the things I see is what's at the high school is a basic course. This is an advanced course,
From our
just to further.
Because you pay.
Yeah.
Now, excuse me, do you wait the permission of this board over here to start to progress, in this particular project?
I'm not here seeking any approvals or permission. This is an informational.
Oh,
Yeah, just offering some information, welcome questions, and really I see us as partners. Trying to work together, I think, for the same common good here. So, but if we're doing anything wrong, I'd want to know about it, and I'm sure I would hear.
No, and continue to let us know how we can help
I appreciate
as a
it.
town.
I just want to provide some information, and again, open an ongoing dialogue. This will be the next couple of years here, hopefully, and into the future. So,
Good.
thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Appreciate the
Lord.
time.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
No,
questions.
appreciate it. The
Nice to meet you.
next order of business. Actually, before we do that, I wanted to do a kind of a public service announcement. Kelly Walsh, our new Parks and Rec Director, is organizing a Green Up Day this coming Saturday at Granite Park. She would like for everybody to gather between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And then she'll assign people different locations throughout Littleton, so for the cleanup. So if you're interested, get the word out. That would be great. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm just going to give Robert
Oh, good, okay,
a copy.
all right.
Good. Do you want me to take over the next one, Ken?
Sure. And for full disclosure, the next one I have to excuse myself for.
Okay. So the next one is with Jeff Wynn. He wants to request a road name change. And there's some choices.
To the podium.
So do you want to speak, Jeff?
Yeah.
I've submitted 3 names requesting, Joanna told me to offer 3 names, list them in the order of my choices.
Preference, yeah.
Preference, yeah.
Yeah.
So, then she had a couple of follow-up questions. I'll let you forward that to you guys. The reason for the request and a couple of properties that I had sold, she notified them.
So the reason for the name change is just because the other people don't care for what it is, or you guys?
Yeah, it was the original owners that started the subdivision. Cardell is a combination of their last names.
Yep.
And didn't really care for that name. And the Boisines, who are currently, or current owners, actually helped put this list together. So we just wanted to rename the road.
Can I,
Yeah.
Jeff, normally this would not be an issue,
Yeah.
because this is a pretty simple request on your part. I read 231, 133, which is the name change for streets in the state of New Hampshire. And in the middle of the first paragraph, it says, "The governing body may change the name of any such street or highway at any time when, in its judgment, there is occasion for so doing." Now, your explanation is fine. The concern I have is that if there's no other reason other than that you'd like to change it, we may have someone come to our next meeting that lives on School Street with a request to change the name of the street. So I was wondering if there was anything other than a desire to change the name, so that the word occasion here is, appears to be, an operational process that we're involved in.
Yeah. I guess I've never been someone who makes decisions based on whether it might set a precedent or not. It's based on case by case and the merit. I think the difference between a resident of School Street that might come in versus my request is that I own the subdivision.
Right.
That resident on School Street doesn't own the street, so.
Yeah, it refers to private property as well, private streets as well as public streets.
Yeah.
The way it's written, and that's the only reason I brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at some point, once there's more homes built, I understand that after 3 homes, the property owners can petition the selectmen to take the road over.
It's not in this section, but it may be in another section.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of this season, there'll be 4 homes built there out of the 7 lots, so. So as the new owner of the subdivision, my request is to rename it. So it's something I talked to Joanna about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and never pursued it, and then just kind of came back to the front burner the first of the year, so.
You gave us 3 options here. Do you have one in particular that of the 3?
Be the first one in
Yeah,
preference.
as I stated, Joanna asked me to just list in order of preference. So I think it's Harvest Court was the first one.
It was, well, yeah, Harvest Court, Romans Road, and Stillwater Lane.
Right.
So Harvest Court would be your primary choice, is what
As
you're
long
saying.
as there was no conflict with any other
Right.
name.
So, can I ask the chief, on a 911 addressing, mapping, everything else, will this cause a controversy at all to,
Only if it's going to conflict with another name, like using School
So that would just have to be reported to them that it's changed.
Yep. When the change takes place, 911 will go through their mapping system to actually make that change, so when everybody calls, it will pop up with that street name, as opposed to the previous one that was approved.
And so we can make these decisions on individual cases,
Right.
which,
It's our understanding as well that the selectmen back in 2006 discussed this street as the first time, or that area the first time it came up, but never voted on the street. So that was our other question, was whether or not this was actually
a legal
an
thing.
approved
Yeah.
street, but it's not. Apparently they discussed it but never voted on it.
Right.
So, Milt, I'm ready to make a motion that we rename the street to Harvest Court.
You want me to make the motion, do the second, or do you want?
I
You made
just-
the motion?
yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
that's easy.
And one abstention.
Done deal.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I guess the only, just for a second, I guess the only thing that would alter that is if the commission reviewed it and had a problem with it, huh?
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. I'm guessing it's not going to be on the street. The only thing that I would check on, and only because we knew here, I know the previous meeting I worked for, I had ordinance that their recommendation on board, that they, that I believe if you were the local, if you will body, you guys can't overrule the decision from 911. They won't have any control over that. They'll have recommendations, I believe you as the governing body can say,
Okay.
you're okay with any change.
So this would be under the condition that there's no pushback on it as far as another, close to another name or something like that.
That, maybe we could just revisit it all.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
We would, yeah.
With Chief Smith, like, Brian, they, asked him to
You want to?
Rudy? You got-
Yes, do this street that you want to change the name, they already got a name, they just want to change, or it's a new street that is required,
He owns the subdivision.
doesn't matter, I don't know what I'm myself.
Yeah, apparently they discussed this back in 2006, but they never voted on it.
So
So it has a name out there on a sign,
But it's not official.
but it's not official.
I asked you know the board, first of all, it's not a conflict of interest because Mr. Nguyen, you know, Mr. Nguyen and the chairman, we are brothers and sisters.
She recused
It doesn't
herself.
matter.
Sure she did. It matters. It matters. Yeah, it
It's
does.
one thing. The second one, where I asked is, do this street is got a name already, and he wants to change it, or it's a new street that you guys, you can question this particular name.
It's a current street, but the name was never approved, but there is a name on it.
Oh, there is a sign on there, right?
Actually, there isn't a road sign.
There's no road sign
Oh,
on
there
it?
isn't? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, I was out there last year on that first property as the zoning officer. I thought there was a sign. I take it back, Rudy. I'm sorry. There is no sign.
Oh, you was in the sign?
Right. Okay.
It's just on paper, so
Okay.
I would, once it's 100%, I would water and put up the street sign.
Yeah. Okay.
And eventually, hopefully.
My error.
Do you have, I think you have any laws about this particular, project that he explained to you guys? You got some law with it?
I'm sorry.
I said, do you have any laws about, about the state? Or
Just
New
the
Hampshire?
just the one that we read. This.
Just the one you read? Where did you find that?
It's on the internet. It's one of the state laws about changing. It's 233:133. Okay.
What we're going to ask the Chief Smith.
So,
Basically, his understanding was the same as mine, that 911 will actually take a look at it, give an approval report and stuff. However, he does believe that 911 does have the right to act or refuse to name on it. If it conflicts with the other name, there's not a problem with making a 911 call.
Okay.
so it's just some paperwork. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks.
Okay, so the next on the agenda is the TAP project and parking on Cottage Street. We have Doug Damko here.
Good evening, Select Board. I wanted to bring this matter before you for your discussion and recommendation on consideration to include parking into the design of that project. It wasn't originally part of the preliminary design, but it's something that has come up through the, as we're coming up to the end of the preliminary design, and there was a discussion of adding parking. The project currently has a bike lane designated for the side of the road where the new sidewalk reconstruction is going to be. And to convert that to parking is going to take some layout changes and some consideration by the engineers that go into the final design. So I wanted to discuss that matter with you guys and get your feedback and direction.
Do I take the mic? Doug, I sat up there for an hour the other day watching traffic go up the hill towards the co-op. If anybody is turning to the left onto any of the streets or into any of the businesses on the other side, traffic can still go around that car that's waiting and not impede traffic all the way back to the traffic light. I think that if we allowed parking on the side, they wouldn't be able to do that. Also, with the snow removal on the hill, the state would push it back and then the town would be responsible to push it back out of the parking spots, is that correct?
Well, not completely, because we'll put in a green strip as part of the project. And so, so that this green strip would become the snow storage area in between the sidewalk and the roadway. So it wouldn't, so there'd be a little room to store that and still keep the parking functional and the sidewalk functional. But your original, your first comment about the blocking vehicles, it's true that you would restrict the roadway and not allow if there's parked vehicles there, they couldn't go around.
Right, and years ago they allowed some parking there, but everything on the other side of the street, on the left-hand side, was residential, and the houses have been torn down, and a doctor's office, dentist's office, banks, everything else are being put in up there. And there's a lot of traffic that actually has to cross traffic to get into the other side. So that's just a concern of mine, what I was viewing when I was watching to see what was going on. So, I mean, yeah.
Would this mean that the bike lane disappears?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The other question I would have, as far as going up the hill too, and if people are parking on the right, what are the chances of them parking there and running across Cottage Street to get to a business on the other side? Is that, because we're not planning on putting crosswalks up. Chief?
The project is putting in a number of crosswalks, but maybe not enough that would prevent that particular scenario from occurring. So yeah, I appreciate Chief Smith's feedback as well.
I'm glad that we're talking about this evening because I still haven't seen the final or the proposed project for parking spaces, but if there isn't a traffic calming measure made on that street that would prevent parking, people will park on the side of the road and it will be problematic. So it's either got to go into your engineering. If you're going to prevent it, your engineering needs to prevent it because it's almost impossible for us to do it. And you have businesses right now that have already established parking. I think that there can be a compromise in some places, allow some parking, and I know it's going to be tough for Public Works because my understanding is that the state's going to tell Public Works you have to plow out those parking spaces. But again, part of progress means compromise. There are only 2 permanent parking spaces on Cottage Street, and those are by Dr. Mitz's office. Those are the only 2 permanent spots that we have. And right now, any re-engineering and designations would make things so much better, i.e. what's going on in front of embroidery by Everything Personal and Lane House is very difficult from a parking enforcement perspective because the design is horrible and the signage is very difficult for us to be able to properly enforce that. So I would ask that you consider compromising. I know you can either say absolutely no parking, but if you do that, there needs to be proper design to prevent the parking.
Now, it's my understanding too that this would be from South Street up. Is that correct? Or are we talking about from the Free House up?
It's from South Street.
It is.
South Street.
And what you're asking for, Doug, what you're asking for is, in the engineering, is them to go ahead and factor that in. So they don't have to agree to parking tonight, but it would show the board at a later date of how it could work in terms of what you guys are looking for. So they're not asking them to vote on parking,
I'd like to
but
see
to allow it
design.
included to the plan so you can see what the impact would be.
Yeah, I'd like to see a
Yeah,
design
Can
on
we go
it.
forward and just at least explore it with the consultant?
I
And we
think
can look at
that's fair,
alternatives where it's
yeah.
some select parking and no parking in other areas. Didn't have to be the whole thing.
No, that's good. Did you have anything? No. Anything else you want to add to that? So, if you want to see,
Yeah, I would just like to see a design, something that's on paper that we can look at and discuss.
Yeah, we can put a concept plan together.
it's time of the essence though, right?
That's the thing, right?
Right, the consultant, or I was just trying to get some guidance back to our consultant on this effort. I didn't want them to go through that effort if it wasn't going to have support through the select board.
And that would give us a little bit of time till the next meeting when we can look this over between and make a decision then.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure how soon they could put together a plan. I would give them feedback tomorrow to proceed
Okay.
on laying
Keep-
that out.
Keep us
Just
informed.
even rough.
Yeah, even rough is, yeah.
Rough plans.
Yeah, they won't be building it, but at least before they would make a final decision, you'll be able to approve it
Yeah.
and see how it's going to work and where it would be, and then the police and fire can look into it, make sure that there's no impediment, in reference to public access and what have you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Thanks, Doug.
So you have a consensus to go
I'm
forward?
sorry?
Yeah, we should make a motion, so I'll
Well,
entertain a motion.
let me ask a question. Given that we haven't seen anything yet, maybe we can just come to consensus here that he can move forward with
Okay.
the idea of sidewalks? Because going back to the chief's comment, I think we really need to look at something a little bit more definitive. And if what's the word here? If flexibility is being built into it in terms of parking places, some places, but maybe not other places, to follow up on Roger's concern. So I think the consensus would be that we're in agreement conceptually, and then we can move forward from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
So without a formal vote, there's three consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Doug, you have three, so you've got consensus to go forward, okay? All right.
So the next order of business is the Littleton Main Street Phase 2 grant resolutions. Oh, no, actually, we want to do the meeting and agenda. Do you want to go over that, Jim, as far as our new format?
Yeah, whichever you
Okay.
prefer, Chairman.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
I've added a couple of things to the packet. The first gives you an example of what I'm looking for here on out. It's called the agenda cover page. And whether it be a director or a consultant we're working with, whatever the project may be, this page would cover that. And the idea is just as I kind of written out involving using it for the agenda. There's a section for background. What is the summary of why this is being brought to you? What's the specific issue? What's the recommendation? If there are additional attachments, and financial impact. And so in talking with Seal and the directors, this would be kind of like what you call a little cheat sheet that would be on top of every packet. So
Okay.
while you'll have the backup to look through and you can find anything there, this should give you a quick synopsis of why that issue is being addressed. And I think it might help organize the agenda a little better and also provide a little more information from staff as they submit it. So just looking for your okay then, I
I'm
mean,
all for it, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not talking about the whole,
No,
all of
no,
the text,
just
just the
the,
top page. Okay.
yeah, just the top page.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So I will entertain a motion to have this moving forward.
Right, I'll do second.
Okay?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
All right,
yeah.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Good. Unanimous.
yes.
All right, and thank you for designing that, Jim. That'll keep us organized. So the next form that Jim was kind enough to put together for us too is the request to address Board of Selectmen. Do you want to explain that?
As we know in public meetings, whether it be in Littleton or anywhere, sometimes we want everyone's voice to be heard, but we also want it to be in an organized, appropriate fashion, so people aren't arguing or speaking over each other. And one of the ways that I have found, and I use the cover sheet again, though, is when someone comes to the meeting, there's like 2 opportunities to speak. One is general public items for something that's not on the agenda. So if they want to come down and talk about something, then you would hold them at public comment, and they could fill out a form and just say what the topic is. And by providing name and address, it helps the clerk, or not clerk, seal, the executive secretary, have that record, because sometimes it's been hard to pick up off of the tape in terms of speaking. And then the other way to use the form is you have items that may be listed on the agenda. You guys do your discussion, and before you have a final vote, you open it up to public comment so they can write down that they're there to speak about item 1, 2, 3, or 4. And hopefully what we would get to is to where you wouldn't have people shouting to you from the audience. They would come up to the podium, be recognized, be given their 3 minutes, make their presentation, and then if somebody else wanted to speak about it, they would do the same thing, but they wouldn't be debating each other. All the conversation comes to the board. And it's just try to provide some kind of professional organization to it so that it's easier to manage. On a light night like tonight, it's just Rudy, so we only have 1 public member, but if you've got a room full and people all want to speak, it just kind of puts it into a working order so then they can be called on by the chair at the appropriate time.
So we will have plenty of these at each meeting? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
What was the question?
We'll have plenty of these forms at each meeting so that folks...
And it'll also be available online, so if someone wanted to even fill it out ahead of time.
I have a couple questions or comments to make. Some years ago, the select board, and Rudy, you can help me on this a little bit, because I remember we created a set of criteria for the public comments section. There was immediate pushback from the audience. So the concern I have here is what happens if a person refuses to fill out the form but wants to speak and points directly to the First Amendment. So I happen to agree with this form. There are some wording changes I would recommend here, but the 3-minute limit is legitimate because we've had that periodically over the years. But there is a question that I think council has to answer or help us with, and that is where a person comes here and refuses to fill out the form and wants to speak anyway. I prefer the form, but that doesn't always necessarily happen, given the night and given the topic. So I did have some changes to the wording as well, but I don't know if you want to deal with that here or not. But clearly, that's a question that we need to have answered.
Okay.
At the bottom, where you have note, this is one of the greatest things I've seen recently. Minutes of the meetings are not transcribed verbatim. That is one of the best ideas I've seen in a long time, because that clearly is important for people who do want to see the verbatim, that they have to address that issue themselves before getting here. So I think the idea is great. I do think we have a First Amendment issue, and when you get to the next section where you deal with all of those points that you put down, there's a couple places where I thought, and this is called the Principles of Civility, Order and Proper Decorum in Public Meetings. I do think we need some some help with that in terms of making sure we don't inadvertently create a First Amendment issue for ourselves. So I think the form is a good idea. I just think there's some wording changes we could make
Okay.
as well. Thank you.
So how do you want to move forward? Do we agree in concept
We
with
agree in
this?
concept.
And
We
then
agree in
we'll just
concept, yeah.
change
Yeah.
some, okay.
And I will take the speaker form and the third attachment involving the civility and rules, and I'll get with the town attorney, just in the sense to see if there's any legal issues that may come out of that, and
I'll give you my
and specifically if someone,
Yeah.
because it's not designed to stop anybody from speaking.
Right.
It's just us to have a record of who spoke and just what the topic
Right.
was. I mean, in terms of that, and so it's not at all to deny anybody the opportunity
Right.
to speak, but I will get that question
idea.
answered.
Good.
Okay, and I'll bring you back the update.
No, we don't have to vote on it, though. We can just have the, or should we
Well,
wait until the changes have taken
wait,
place?
let's wait till we get the changes and then we'll come back. and
Subject
make
to.
it-
Okay.
Yeah, to move ahead with it is fine.
Okay.
All right, good. Do you want to come up to the podium,
Yeah.
please, Rudy?
I believe that we go good intent that the new town manager has. This is a joke. And I tell you why it's a joke. First of all, for us, citizens of Littleton, it's a privilege to stand up and talk with the board. Because the board has got the power to let nobody talk. It's right here, it's right in municipal laws. If we stand up and we talk for 2 minutes with anyone at the board or with the board, it's because the board give us the permission to talk. Not because we stand up, It's right in municipal law. Second one, I don't understand why you've got to fill up the form and stuff like that, It's really, it's something that, so everybody's going to call a seal and say, put him in, but I gotta say whatever I want to say. And, to me, that I come to almost all the meeting is a kind of, because we know the laws. I know the law. If I stand up, I want to say something, if the chairman said, sit down, I gotta sit down. That's it. Because she got the power to say something. It's municipal laws. But if she say, okay, it says whatever I gotta say, I don't know. I mean, that's, that's the law.
No, exactly, but it's a form of being recognized and having your 3 minutes so someone else doesn't interrupt you and you have an opportunity to say what you need to say to the board.
Yeah, but if I stand up with the chairman and say, okay, I can talk,
No, we appreciate your thoughts, Rudy. It's,
you're the one who runs the show. That's it. If I stand up and you say, sit down, you gotta sit down. That's it.
right. No, thank you.
Tell him to sit down.
Yeah.
All right, so the next order of business is the Littleton Main Street Phase 2 grant resolutions. Is that something you wanted to read off, Jim? Or
Doug, you might want to come up too, because I know this was a continuation of, and,
I can read the resolutions. if
Yeah,
that
'cause
would be
my-
helpful.
because these readers aren't as strong as I need.
You want me to go ahead and read this?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
my understanding is in talking with NCIC, I mean, these are part of the Phase 2 project, and there are 3 resolutions. I don't know, Doug.
Correct.
Yeah.
Those are to support for the grant that we're applying for.
Yeah, so it's not new.
Right.
It's a continuation thereof, and so they presented I think the resolutions, and I just asked, as you can see, I sent her the cover page, and at least they attempted to use, that for the resolutions, kind of using the format.
Yep. So should we just read off the resolutions then versus reading the
Yeah.
Phase 2 grant, this page here? Just so
I'm going to
folks
ask
will-
Seal.
For the minutes.
For the
read the
minutes.
resolution, and then they'll vote individually on each
We will vote on
resolution.
each one, because they're varying costs, or I'm sorry, varying revenue in here.
That's right. All right, well, let's start with this first resolution then. The Littleton Board of Selectmen, at their meeting dated today, April 26, 2021, approved by a majority vote of the board members the submission of an application to the Economic Development Administration Public Works Program in the amount of up to $3 million, and to authorize Town Manager James Gleason or Finance Director Lori Bolasevich to sign any and all forms relevant to the submission of the application and award. That's the first resolution.
You want a motion to, I'll make a motion to approve?
Okay,
And I'll second it.
all right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good. That's the first resolution. The second resolution is the Board of Selectmen at their meeting dated April 26, 2021, today, approved by a majority vote of the board members the submission of an application to the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority's Community Development Block Grant Program in the amount of up to $500,000, and to authorize Town Manager James Gleason or Finance Director Lori Bolasevich to sign any and all forms relevant to the submission of the application and award.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then the third resolution, the Littleton Board of Selectmen, at their meeting dated April 26, 2021, today, approved by a majority vote of the board members the submission of an application to Northern Border Regional Commission for the Littleton Main Street Phase 2 in the amount of up to $1 million, and to authorize Town Manager James Gleason or Finance Director Lori Bolasevich to sign any and all forms relevant to the submission of the application and award.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept that.
Second?
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. So approved.
I think we need to sign those tonight, right?
We do, yeah. Do we have the originals, or we can just sign copy, or? All right, we'll just sign the copy.
Just one,
That should be fine, yeah. The next order of business is public comment.
Get this in.
Two letters of, if you want to reconsider, okay? This over here, it's from another town, which, they've been working on. This over here, by the president of the right to know, I wrote it directly to you. And it's sent to you if you want to reconsider it, where I asked, the right to know asks, not me. But this one, it's probably okay. It probably, give an answer and stuff like that. And the point is this, because, okay, I understand, that no public sessions, okay, eventually, we put a law in, if it passes, that's the amendment. You guys got to form a committee, or just to say, okay, Rudy, would you mind, to come into the session of, to just listen to what we said, or stuff like that. Yes, we have a lot of problem with that, because if you're talking about somebody else, they don't want the business to go around the top, from me or for anybody else. But that's, if you reconsider, you can say yes, or you can say no to the other to sell it. I don't think so, it's something really.
I guess the question I have, Rudy, you say, I asked the board to reconsider their plans to select the audit committee member during a non-public. What is audit committee?
Only to committees, somebody can stay over there, let's just say you have a no closed session, okay? I mean, the closed session to talk about whatever, fire somebody, hire somebody, whatever. If the guy that's, that you nominated, it could be Rudy or it could be anybody else, stays over there, and making sure you, like that, you don't have to do, you don't have to close everything, inside the envelope and stuff like that, you gotta open it up, what's the process of all this stuff.
So you're asking for somebody to sit in our non-publics to audit what is being said?
That's right. There are already a couple of towns, this is the president of the right to know.
All right, well, let's take that under advisement.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want that law on the changing of street names?
It's just, obviously, we can talk about something, because all the town, they're allowed, to be inside the room with the two selectmen. They don't allow, public input.
Now, would that person, and I didn't read the one from the other town, but do they have to be sworn in as if they were in an appointed position, or?
No, it's something, it's like, if you make a new committee, right? Where they say that, and of course, the committee, they're not going to be there, you just choose one person. To sit over there, listen to everything that's going on. And of course, it's going to have some kind of, protesters, that they say no. But that's...
All right, well, let's take it under advisement, we'll talk about it, and, all right. Well, thank you, Rudy. So I would entertain a motion to dismiss?
Yeah, I'll make a
Adjourn?
motion to dismiss,
I
adjourn.
have a question.
sorry.
Regarding our next meeting, under other business, is that, I don't remember. Is that where we can suggest things for the next agenda, or what? Can we do,
I believe we can.
There's a couple things.
So we've got new business, old business, yeah. What are you thinking?
Well, the fraud policy
Okay.
that we were handed just to review,
Yeah,
I would like to bring that, or have that brought to the next board
Okay.
meeting for review.
all right, so we should check with Seal to make sure that that's put on and then we have a chance to review it.
Yeah, and then the other
All right.
one is, we have two agreements that are out there as drafts, one having to do with the lease. We should try to finalize that.
Okay,
So that would be one to, for the town manager to maybe bring back to us. You'd be contacting Mr. Alacqua downstairs. We gave him the rough draft copy of the...
Yeah, for the, no, yeah, in fact, Robin gave me that folder today.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, he brought it back?
No, Robin did, and so
Okay.
So-
Yeah, if we could perhaps finalize
yeah, I
that.
will,
Okay.
yeah, when she gave that to me today, I said I'll go
Okay.
downstairs and double check
Good.
where that's at in reference to the town hall lease.
And we were talking at one point, Jim, about increasing the security of the suite that the town offices are in. And I just wonder if at our next meeting you could bring us an update in terms of where that may be at.
Yeah, I can ask Chief. I've only got an invoice for one. I know there was a second company that came through. Have we gotten a report back from them yet? Okay. So we were waiting on that second.
Yeah, I never got that second proposal never came in to me, and I just assumed it was going to come in to you.
Yeah, the chief was there and actually walked people around in terms of theirs. So I've got the one proposal, so we're waiting, and we'll follow up
Yeah.
on the
okay.
timeline for
All right.
the second proposal. So we'll see what's the difference
All
and
right.
maybe what's the better of the two. And I want the chief's input in the sense of things that he saw to make sure that it addresses
Okay.
all the security issues.
Good,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
That's it.
that's it, okay,
That's it. I make a motion to adjourn.
okay. Do I have a second
Huh?
to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, all right.
absolutely.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Done, adjourned.
We're going to close or no?